Pride. Can I tell you a story about pride? My brother has a son, his name is Surush, and the name itself is quite significant. If I was to give you the meaning of the name in a metaphoric way, imagine you're Anaz and you're a Muslim and you're like 20 with a beard and you're asleep, and just before sunrise you hear something, and because you're a Muslim or you happen to be religious, you believe in certain fantastic things out there, and so there is this angel saying things to you. That's what the name means, Surush, that a voice is being given to you or a message is given to you. Anyways, so he must have been maybe 3 or 4. We were playing ping pong in the garage or table tennis, and then Surush begins to burp. And I, being the stupid man that I am, have always been and will never change, I asked him nicely, "Don't burp, it's not a good thing to do." Then he does it again. "Don't burp, it's not a good thing to do." And then as he continues to burp, my voice, the volume goes higher and higher to the point, then I yell at him. His father, my brother, was there. And then once I yelled, he went to his father's arm and began to cry. And then my brother, his father, took him inside, and my father looks at me and says, "You know why he was burping, right?" I said, "Yeah, it's just a bad thing to do." He says it's for the first time he knows how to control the flow of the air and make some sounds. "Don't you know that?" I said, "No, I had no idea." He was very proud of being able to burp, but I saw his burping as misbehaving, being rude in the presence of me, his father, his grandfather, my father. Pride in some ways can be a really, really good thing, especially if you're slowly beginning to accomplish things you couldn't do before. If you've been on drugs and you've been sober for 1 day, that's a thing to be proud of. If at a certain point you are able to talk about your history as an addict, you've accomplished something. Pride in many ways, despite what the Catholic Church tries to sell us, which is one of the 7 deadly sins, and in some ways it could be true if pride happens to be related to certain parts of you that are infantile, not accomplished, not mature. I don't play the piano, I'm not very good. Imagine, people in this room are all pianists. And here I am sitting and boasting about how great of a pianist I am. And every time one of you raises their hand, or his hand or her hand, to say something about the piano, I overtake the conversation. Now, that's being proud as well. It's just a false narrative because I'm really not very good. When a child is born, and for those of us in this class, especially mothers, they don't really care that they've been in your belly harassing you for like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. At the moment they come out, they cry, they scream, they harass you. They want to be held, they want to be nursed. And it has to do with their self. Here I am, I need help. I don't care about your dilemma, help me, nurse me, hold me. So, again, it has to do with yourself. The question is, what part of yourself? The more accomplished, the more right you have to be proud. But I think if you're accomplished in the right way, and if you're mature in the right way, pride becomes, I think, refined by humility. And I think these are stages that people go through. You begin to learn how to sing, and every time you go to a gathering, you just dominate the space. There comes a point where you're a good singer, you've also sang enough, you also know that there are other people in the room who want to kind of just sing. So you kind of take a back seat, you become more invisible. You're still good. If they ask you, you'll sing. You'll probably be better than the rest of the people in the room, but nevertheless, you'll take the back seat. Yesterday I poured a lot of concrete. I spent about maybe 7 hours in the backyard. So I'm pretty tired today. That's why my brain is not working well. My language is all jumbled up. My thinking is not very clear. If this was a scenario some 20 years ago, I'd be very embarrassed because I'm an instructor. I'm supposed to entertain you guys in a fun way for about 1 hour and 15 minutes. My stage in life is now different. I can be somewhat transparent and say, listen, I'm a little tired today. And I can be actually quite proud of being bold enough to be honest about that. Just in case the class is dragging a little bit today, it's because of A, B, C, D. And should any of you in this class want to pass a judgment, this guy's a crummy instructor, he knows that he needs to be in class on Monday, he should be energetic, How dare he goes to the backyard and pours concrete, and the truth is it's okay for me. So it kind of shows its face in different ways at different stages. Can I give you a poem? چون دایره ما ز پوست پوشان توییم در دایره حلقه به گوشان توییم گر بنوازی ز جان خروشان توییم ور ننوازی هم از خموشان توییم. Imagine you just bought this grand Yamaha piano and it's about $30,000. It's beautiful and it sounds great. It's a piano that Beethoven would play on. It's been made really, really well with proficient hands, but it sits there and it doesn't make a sound. It waits and waits and waits and waits for a very proficient, talented, creative, inspired, maybe happy or profoundly sorrowful pianist to sit on the chair and play it. Only then it'll begin to roar. I think what you have in regards to pride and humility, it takes, I think, a human being a long, long time to become proud of the right things, to be able to think well, to have gone through a lot of mistakes in life, to have sinned greatly, profoundly, miserably, to have learned the lessons from those mistakes, to be able to kind of feel deeply about things and then articulate them in language and then talk about them to other people. And then after a while you realize you've talked enough, then you assume silence. You just become very, very quiet. Even though you have all this wisdom inside you, you just remain very quiet. Because at this stage in your life, you wait for the right people, the right student, the right ears, the right question. Someone who can kind of process the answer, the response well. And so what you have is, first you have a human being who kind of just is born in the dark and assumes wrongly, of course, arrogantly, boastfully, pridefully, that they know how to kind of manage life. But time passes, they're 30 now, 40 now, they sit and they realize they've made a lot of mistakes. It's a very tormenting place to be. And they get maybe depressed, maybe even chronically for some time. And kind of like Robert Downey Jr., they get themselves out of that pit after going through maybe lots of therapy sessions, reading lots of books, maybe writing a lot of things, living in the cave and just processing ideas. And then you learn how to speak. And when you speak, your language is seasoned with a good amount of experience, frustration, anger, sorrow, dread, sin, understanding the sin or mistakes. And so the audience, those who are listening to you, can feel all of that. They may not be able to articulate, but they feel it. And so they gravitate towards you because they want to hear more. And that creates a different sort of pride inside you. You like the attention, you like the audience, because your value goes up as a human being. And then there needs to come a time where you're just, to some extent, okay with just being left alone. And so you wait, and you wait, like a drum. Even though I can make all these wonderful sounds that will inspire people, I'm just going to sit quietly. If there is a worthy percussionist who will pick me up and just slap the hell out of me, I will dance, I will sing, I will make lots of wonderful noises. If on the other hand, there is no one worthy to pick me up and slap me, I'll remain quiet. And like anything else, you could be proud for things you have not really accomplished, but assume that you have. You could be proud of the things you have accomplished because it took a lot of work and effort. And then there comes a point where you no longer really need to put yourself out there for all to see. You kind of just hide in the background for someone to find you, which is a bit more difficult these days because all of us are impoverished. We are so poor in so many different ways that we just need to kind of be seen all the time. If your question is, well, how does one assume the right kind of pride? I wouldn't know. How does one slowly grow into humility? I wouldn't know. I don't think there's a how-to. Some people get there and some people don't, even though they desire to get there.